As this video is being released around Valentine's Day in 2024, those of us who have been single for quite a while can definitely feel lovesick at times, whether it's around a calendar date like an anniversary, or a location, activity, etc., or even some songs. So these are the songs that personally remind me of things that I went through all those years ago with a certain person. But because I specialize in the rock and metal genre, that's where this list is going to pick from. Now, if you're going to say, well, you missed this song, you missed that song, you missed this classic, it was a top 40 hit back in the year, you have to remember that these are songs that are my personal favorites, songs that resonated with me personally when it came to this subject. And I will also limit it to one song per artist. And keep in mind that these songs can be interpreted in any way you wish, and the genders involved can pretty much mean anyone. But for the sake of narration, it's going to be coming from a male perspective who lost his wife in a heartbreaking divorce. And if there are songs you list yourself, well then, list them in the comments below. You can definitely handpick a lot of songs about breakups and relationships from Linkin Park, especially from their first two albums. But the closing duo off their Living Things album, Tinfoil and Powerless, is what hits me emotionally. Now, Tinfoil serves as an instrumental introduction, and right off the bat, the atmosphere and main notes that play give off a very uncomfortable and suffocating vibe. So to me, it represents the passage of time where things between the couple go from happy and normal to things getting worse as the two fall apart, and then feeling much more gray and numb as time presses forward. And then the song segs into Powerless. The opening piano note really sets the tone for the melancholic mood, as the sadness over the heartbreak starts to kick in. The lyrics to me describe a sad tale of a man who watched his wife fall apart and painstakingly trying to chase her when she didn't want to be chased. Imagine you know that you and your wife are going to separate, and you even know when that is going to happen because you agree to live together until an apartment lease expires at a certain date. So imagine knowing that nothing can be done, or feeling like nothing can be done, because you know she gave up on you a long time ago and is already mentally somewhere else, or even mentally with someone else at this point. The title Powerless represents how powerless one feels when they know the relationship is all but over, or they know the relationship is gonna end and they feel absolutely powerless to stop the impending end, and the scared feeling of uncertainty of the future between the two. And I would have this pair start the playlist to just really set the mood for what's to come. When it comes to Distance by Evergrey, besides being a really good heavy metal song with a progressive beat, the hard keyboard notes that open and close the song is ultimately what sets the mood. The opening and closing keyboard notes are like the tolling of a bell, almost like a grandfather clock sounding at the strike of midnight, as if to say, time's up, there's no going back at this point. Now, the distance between the separating or the recently separated couple is obviously being felt in the song, hence the song name Distance. Here, the lyrics are about the man who acknowledges that the significant, strong bond between the couple is long gone, but he keeps holding on to the feeling of, maybe she'll come around. Maybe it's not over just yet. So it references the regret, the longing, the frustration felt over the missed chances to get things back on track. And when you're in the process of losing someone, especially someone you felt was the love of your life, there is, of course, that feeling of determination that he'll do what it takes, even if it takes him a long time to get things back the way things were, perhaps even better. Yeah, we're distant, but, she'll see. I'll do what it takes to close the gap. But then, as hopeful as that sounds, rather than end on a positive note, the song closes with the same melancholic keyboard notes it began with, signifying that the time he once thought he had to do the things he wanted to do to get back on track, it's long gone and it's not coming back. What Have You Done by Within Temptation is a duet between Within Temptation singer Sharon Dan Adele and Life of Agony singer Mina Caputo, formerly credited as Keith Caputo when the song came out in 2007. Because of this duet, it's a fantastic song with both male and female perspective, and the lyrics suggest that one partner has turned into the other worst enemy, bringing out the hate that was not initially present. And yeah, it's about a toxic relationship where the two partners feel there's a curse between them, preventing things from getting back to where they were before. Like, oh man, just when I thought I missed you, then you do this and that. You have lines that represent the pain and the frustration that one partner is feeling towards the other. They recognize that they should stop believing and there really is no retrieving what's lost between them. In reality, that curse is the two of them constantly doing things to hurt each other, whether intentional or not, which of course leads to the constant heartache and despair. Even as it keeps happening in a repeated pattern, when another thing happens, especially let's say you keep finding out your spouse continues to be unfaithful to you despite the vows that were exchanged at the altar, it still feels just as shocking as the first time. Hence the repeated line that Caputo screams, There's a lot of emotions that hit in this song, especially the resentment and anger associated with the split that is either happening or about to happen. Not Strong Enough by Apocalyptica, along with that song Don't Care, is a great anthem for failing relationships. Here, the protagonist knows that staying with her is more likely going to result in more pain and anguish, but because of his heart and how much he loves her, he finds himself not strong enough to break away just yet. The bridge of this song, There's nothing I could do, my heart is chained to you, and I can't get free, look what this love's done to me. It's especially tough to break away physically and mentally when you've spent years investing in her, lived with her, married her, etc. It takes a long time for your heart to stop being attached to her, even after you've split up and you know she doesn't have those same feelings back anymore. Now, bands like Revamp, After Forever, or even Northward and Florian's Solar career pretty much proves that Nightwish has been wasting her time and talent by only having her sing and not including her in the songwriting process. Here's My Hell is the first song off of Revamp's first album. Now, you can pretty much interpret this song in any way you wish. It's not explicitly a breakup song or something about a relationship, but more a state of mind that one can be experiencing when things between the couple turn south. Or it could be a depression and burnout that kicks in. You could be put in a position where you've lost yourself and you become completely numb to the situation, numb to your feelings for the other person, numb to the things the person has been doing to you, etc., while you're experiencing a personal hell. And there's only so much emotion and feeling that you are allowing yourself to let in. But it's also a song that's more about facing your demons, The thoughts that continue to poke at you about why the relationship fails, or why you failed, or why you feel like a failure for not giving what your spouse wanted and driving her away. Even if in hindsight, the relationship ending wasn't entirely your fault. When I was going through the rough stuff all those years ago, it was definitely a go-to song for me at the time.
Tick, tick, let me die. Here's my love.
Downfall by Lacuna Coil, which is one of the few songs that be considered a ballad off of the Delirium album, explores themes of sadness, loss, and the struggle to move on from a painful situation. The lyrics depict a person who is in a state of despair and longing for comfort and connection. However long this period of time is, there is that stagnant state where nothing seems to be healing nor getting better. Thus, one feels depressed the majority of the time. You have feelings of emptiness and loss, and the feeling of helplessness because you don't know what to do. When you do things that constantly remind you of things you used to do with her, then it gets even tougher to shake those feelings off. The line, "the sun will never heal the rain," is repeated, emphasizing the inability to find comfort or resolution through positive circumstances. There's the desire to let go, but the pain of the loss still remains. For some people, they cope via self-destruction, such as drugs or alcohol, or in my experience, just emotional eating, where I ended up gaining a lot of weight and ballooned to 330 pounds over the years after my divorce, which I have since lost and I'm back down to 260 as of this recording. In my case, how I ended up coping and healing was changing career paths and pretty much working different jobs that got me away from the places I used to frequent with her. Only then was I really able to let things go and get to a better mental state. The band Dark Element, that features ex-Nightwish singer Annette Olzon, has been a welcome addition to my metal collection. And the funny thing with Annette is that she used to have a stigma of being labeled a pop singer, yet she has been more involved in metal projects in the past few years. So the 2017 song Dead to Me came out a few months after my divorce was final, and it hit the nail on the head with how I was feeling about her. I had already seen her out and about with someone else and had to really deal with my feelings of watching her with this guy's arms around her. So that band-aid just kept getting ripped open at the sight of her and him. So my feelings turned to, fuck this woman, to hell with her. She's dead to me. I don't want to know her. I don't want to talk to her. I don't want anything to do with her anymore. Essentially how Michael Corleone felt about his brother Frito in Godfather 2 after Frito's betrayal was revealed. You have lines such as "something died on the day you left me," melodies, memories in my dreams, "something left, something came, something darker, someone let the cold inside." You have another line, "you were the heartle of my heart, like a fool I played my part." And then of course, "I wish I could say I wish you the best. It isn't true. I won't forgive, won't forget." So there's always those couples who can remain friends and in contact with each other after their breakup or divorce. And if it works for them, then who am I to say otherwise? But for others, like my situation, for instance, there was so much hurt feelings involved from that time that I can be completely fine never having to speak to her again. Not saying I won't be nice and cordial if I do happen to run into her again, but I won't act like what happened and what she did didn't hurt. Hence, those feelings going back to, "you're dead to me."
Your worthless to me. You were the heart
Fragile album by 9 Inch Nails is one of the best industrial rock metal albums, period. And the song Somewhat Damaged sets the tone for the entire theme of the double album, which is abandonment or feeling abandoned. The other main emotion that gets captured with the song is the anger and frustration over feeling abandoned, even so far as feeling, I fucking hate you for what you did. The lyrics imply that the protagonist was promised that the couple would make it through the rocky relationship and that she'd never leave his side, but the final line, didn't quite, fell apart, where the fuck were you, definitely tells the fate of the person shutting down and falling apart, and that promise was never kept. Couples who are together for a long time, especially those that marry, are supposed to be codependent on each other. They're supposed to need each other, especially when one falls and the other picks them back up. So when she just decides, nope, I don't love you anymore, I don't want to be with you anymore, while he still loves and adores her, it shatters him. It destroys the traits that made her fall in love with him in the first place. And for that period, he's no longer that same person she remembers. So yeah, there's always two sides, and the woman might say, I fell apart and shut down because you were shutting down, and the guy might say in return, no, I shut down because you were already far off and I couldn't keep chasing you back. So that final line, where the fuck were you, perfectly sums up the resentment and anger he feels knowing that she left him, she's not coming back. Stabbing Westward's Darkest Days in its entirety from start to finish is a 16-song concept album dealing with the stages of a breakup in 4 acts. The first act dealing with sabotaging the relationship, the next act referencing lust, hope, and longing as it reaches its end, the next act being about hitting rock bottom after it's over, and the last act dealing with self-respect and recovery. But the final song, Waking Up Beside You, hits me the hardest emotionally out of all the songs on this album, and probably all the songs I've listed here. In this case, this song represents a time long after it has ended, many years perhaps. And even if one has largely recovered from it all, after all the heartache, anger, and sadness that transpired, no matter how toxic it was, no matter how much pain and frustration that each person went through, and even if they agree that it was for the best that the two split, that they're all better off in the end, you're still left in a state of mind years later where you still remember the most intimate moments between your spouse, the moments where time stood still and nothing else mattered. And ever so often, there will be a trigger that reminds you of that person, whether it was a place or an activity you once did, or a song you used to love together, or it can be a calendar date like your wedding anniversary. Either way, it can lead that person back to reminiscing and missing that partner. Missing those moments where the couple woke up beside each other after nights of passion and intimacy. Those who have experienced those moments know how powerful it is to wake up beside someone they love and adore, and how much it hurts even years later when those moments no longer happen. For some people, it takes years to fully recover to a self-respecting mental state that they're good with, even after a heartbreaking split. So that missing feeling also hits hard at times if one's been single for years since the split and has not had a new partner to replace those memories with yet. Hence the longing for connection and the fear of being alone that creeps in like a haunting ghost of what used to be. That there is my personal favorite breakup themes, just in time for Valentine's Day. Now, as emotional and melancholic as the lyrical themes are, if you caught on the personal details I slipped in, remember that all these details in real life happened years ago. and I'm just including them for reference and telling you why those songs I mentioned personally resonated with me. I'm not at all trying to say, oh, please feel sorry for me, life sucks, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm good. I'm in a much better state now, and life's too short to keep dwelling. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this list, and you might check out some of these songs if you have not already. If there were songs that I missed, but they affected you personally the same way, then let me know. Leave a comment. And if you want me one day to do a personal list of my favorite rock metal love songs for Valentine's Day, let me know as well. Stay tuned for more Burgers and Fries podcast episodes, and feel free to join the Discord server in the description below if you'd like to talk to me directly. I'm Desert Coyote 22. Thanks for listening.